Okay, so up to this point, we know how to declare functions and invoke them or call them or execute them, whatever, however you want to put it. There is another way that we can create functions, and that's with a function expression. So let's first declare a function just like we've been doing. So I'll say function, this is called a function declaration, right? So we do that by just putting the function keyword first, and then let's call this add $sign. And what this will do is take in a value and then just prefix it with a $sign. So we'll return from this a string with a $sign, and then we'll just concatenate the value. And then if we want to invoke it, we can just, well, let's do it in a console log since this is returning. So we'll say add $sign, and let's pass in here 100. So if I save that, we get $100. So that's a function declaration. We start off with the word function and then name it and so on. But we can also use a function expression where we actually create a variable. So let's call this add $sign, same idea but with a $sign, and we set that equal to a function. And that will take in a value, and then we'll go ahead and just return we'll do a $sign, and then we'll concatenate the value. And then if we want to invoke it, we can do a console log and say add $sign, and let's do 200. And if I save that, we get plus 200. So notice that we invoke them the same exact way. We just call the function and pass in a value, but they're declared differently. The expression is just a variable. It's a function assigned to a variable. Now in JavaScript, you don't have to use semicolons. They're optional, but notice at the end of the expression, we do have a semicolon. We don't add a semicolon to the end of a function declaration. Now, there are some differences here, and it comes down to something called hoisting. Now, I'm not going to really go into hoisting as far as how it works right now. I'll do that later when we talk about something called the execution context. But in very simple terms, hoisting is the process of moving all the function and variable declarations to the top of the current scope before the code is run. So you can think of it before your code is actually executed. You can think of a step before that where it goes through and it looks for all your function declarations and your expressions and your variables and puts it all at puts all those at the top of the page. Now, even though this happens, only function declarations are available before the code is executed. So let me show you what I mean. If I take this right here where I'm calling add $sign and I move it up above where it's actually declared and I save that, it works. Which might seem a little weird because we're calling add $sign before we actually defined it. So how does it know that? And the reason for that is hoisting. Because again, you can think of it as a separate step before your code is actually executed where this is moved up top. Now, like I said, only declarations are available before the code is executed. So if I do the same with an expression, if I take this console log and I move it above where we define it, and I save that, it says uncaught reference error cannot access add $sign before initialization. Okay, so when you use a regular function declaration, you can call it beforehand. If you wanted to put all your functions at the bottom of your script, you could do that. Although I really wouldn't recommend it. I think it's much cleaner to have your functions declared or defined and then use them. But yeah, I just wanted to go over declaration versus expression. In the next video, we're going to look at another type of function expression, and that's arrow functions.